Yep. And so before we start, Max, should I reveal to Elijah what we're actually going to talk about today?
What are we actually talking about today?
How droids aren't sentient, and also how cutting himself into our last episode was messed up.
What do you mean? I didn't cut myself in. I was there the whole time. I was just listening.
Oh, were you just hiding?
Yeah, I only had that one thing to say.
He's the
He
real
was hiding
Minoc.
in the shadow. He is the Minoc. It's not Tuck. It's been Elijah the whole time.
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, oh, I'm the Minoc now.
I got to get in the cabin.
problem.
And we kicked him out.
I'm not gonna lie. There were like 3 or 4 other spots where I was like, I should totally throw some audio in there, and I was like, no, I don't want to be annoying.
That was really good, though. It was hilarious.
You should
Thank
have.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just trying to create a cold open, so we can start now. Whenever.
You're a cold open.
Elijah's got like 45 minutes worth of audio to dig through, so...
Hell yeah. Oh no, that's it. That's the one. Tuck locked us in.
Great. We're getting our cold opens from Tucker.
Oh,
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm starting the show, so you two shut up.
All right.
Oh yeah, anyway,
hello.
did I tell you guys?
Damn it.
Oh, this is awesome. Longest cold open ever, but it's going to be fantastic.
Uh-huh.
This is my official resignation from the show.
I have I've never seen Mac look so mad.
Can I start the show now? Do I have your permission?
Yep.
Don't say.
I love how funny you think this is, man. It's hilarious.
Okay. All right, I'm chill. I'm calm. Go ahead.
All wings report in. HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lock S foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. I am your host, HouseDog, and with me, as always, he's back again this week. He was missing last week. We dropped him off on an asteroid somewhere and hoped he wouldn't return, but he found his way back. My hairy host himself, Mother Goose.
Yeah, I was flying around in space, lost, and I just kind of figured out how to hyperspace travel, like the space whales.
You've become a
up to ya.
Purgle.
Just splashing
I've
around in the
become a
biggest
Purgle.
pond.
Then I used my little Purgle tentacles and just wrapped around the ship.
Well, don't worry. Your seat next to me was kept warm by Tuck, who's
Hell
also
yeah.
here today again.
Warming the seat again. Me and Elijah are now sharing the seat. we're both just sitting on it together.
It's a big seat.
I just picture Wookiee Elijah sitting in his seat with a little Minoc in his lap like a little kitten, and it's you.
Yep, that's how it is. What's up,
$1
everybody?
million.
Oh, Lord. Well, we're back again, finally. The family's back together. It's good to have everyone here again.
Hell yeah.
And, yeah, we're talking about Bad Batch again this week.
Yep, we're getting through the last of season 1. So this is what, episodes 12 through 16?
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Very, very excited. I think another good batch of episodes, mostly.
Yeah, we'll find out. There is one filler episode that I remember in this one, but the rest are all going to be pretty much...
There's very specifically one episode I don't like, and I'm curious if it's the same one.
I think we all have the same idea here.
Yeah,
so.
it's the one that's not like really heavy plot points.
Yeah. Yeah, well, shall we just get started?
I think we should.
Great.
Let's
anyway,
do it to it.
Our first episode is Rescue on Ryloth. The Bad Batch, they're flying. They're chilling. They get a call from good old Hera that her family has been essentially imprisoned falsely. And they come and help save them.
Yep.
I think is really the most simple way to describe it. Other things do happen, but I figure we'll talk about it as we, dive deeper, what did you guys think of the episode?
I love getting Rebels characters
Yeah.
at any point in the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, whatever Empire era, wherever they are. I like getting them. Yeah. And we also got to hear Hera's mother's name pronounced in like the first 30 seconds of the episode, so we know how to say it now.
And that was something we were having real trouble with last time.
Yeah, I guess since it's a French influence, I'm not trying to pretend like I know anything about French here, but Hera's mother's name ends in an I. But I guess with either the French or the Ryloth dialect, it makes a long E sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
And her name's like Eleni?
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard too.
Yeah. It ends in an EI, which doesn't make any sense grammatically for us Americans. But I guess for the French or for the Twi'leks, it makes the long E sound.
Yeah, yep. I watched the episode before I edited your guys' episode. So I wasn't even paying attention to her name. You could have told me it was,
The Cortez sisters.
Or Scooby-Doo, and I would have been like, oh yeah, sure. That is kind of a weird choice of them, but that's her mom's name.
Scooby-Doo Syndulla, yes.
Like Scoob, it's the Empire, man.
We get to see Howler again.
Hauser,
yeah, I totally know who I'm talking about. I'm cool.
I guess Howler's in there too.
We get to see Hauser again.
Yeah, Hauser again, he immediately, Cham and his wife are locked up in the Capitol, and Hauser stops by and he's like, just tell me where Hera is. Like, I'll go get her and I'll protect her from this. And again, you see Hauser, questioning what the Empire's really doing on Ryloth, and they're not protecting the people. They're just occupying the planet at this point.
Right.
Which is something you're seeing become more and more common while the Empire grows on different systems.
We also see them framed, right, for killing the senator?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and Hauser knows the truth, and like that's part of his conflict. Like he feels really wrong knowing that Ta was not killed by Cham and his merry band.
Right. So let me ask you guys this, because I didn't watch the episodes, sorry, that you guys reviewed.
It's all good.
Was the senator killed purposely by the Empire, or
By
did
Crosshair,
he
gets
Yeah,
shot in the
he
head.
gets domed.
Yeah.
So
It makes a funny noise.
Yeah,
why the senator? I remember you guys talking about him being slimy, and it sounded like he was all in with what the Empire was doing. Mm-hmm. Why would they kill the senator if he was, on their side?
Because he served his purpose.
Yeah, they had to get rid of Cham. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
It was just a power play to occupy the planet and secure that mining
And also,
facility.
No one likes Ta, too. I mean, like, that's even clear in the movies. Like, he's that fat Twi'lek who just, like, takes every opportunity to just always not do the right thing. Like, he's not a good dude. He's lazy. He's stupid. No one likes Ta.
Yeah. All my homies hate Ta.
Yep.
Yeah, not a fan.
We get to see Chopper.
Chopper? You mean?
Shup.
Always excited to see him.
And also, as always, he likes killing. He really likes killing.
I was watching this episode with my girlfriend, and I was like, that's Chopper. That's the droid I was telling you about that's killed, like, thousands of people.
Yeah, Chopper has, like, the highest kill count in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, isn't it, like, an estimated, like, 50,000 or something like that because of all the explosions?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like, Chopper is somehow the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. But I'd like to talk about another droid as well, and that is Gonki. That lives on the Marauder. I feel so bad for Gonki because he can't even do what he's designed to do. In the Star Wars universe, Gonk droids are just power banks, and Gonki is a defective Gonk droid. So,
but he's
he fits in.
Much like Tuck, Gonki is the Bad Batch's Tuck.
Yeah, I you know what? I can live with that.
He can't charge anything, but they keep Gonki around because he's part of the family.
Yeah.
I'm never getting rid of Gonki, and I'm never getting rid of Tuck.
Yeah, he sticks around because he's Omega's friend. That's why.
Yeah. She needs someone to play with.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Gonki because I think Omega's like working on him, like trying to fix him whenever Hera sends in her transmission. And you know what? I didn't think about it originally, but watching it through this time, I realized that this was Hera's "Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi" scene.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
It was just Dave Filoni's take on Princess Leia.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Rebels were, that was his show.
Yeah. Which also, Tuck, finish Rebels. It's so good. It's so good.
Maybe I will.
Listen, we're pressuring you into getting a better mic. We're peer pressuring you into watching Rebels.
Dude, Rebels is so easy to watch because, dude, Rebels is shorter than Clone Wars.
I disagree.
They're like 15-minute episodes.
Statistically, it is easier, but as much as I love Rebels, fantastic show, there are some really bad episodes.
Well, like the first 2 seasons, I gotta be honest, I really had to grind pretty hard. That's kind of why I quit watching.
Yeah,
dude, I love Rebels. I don't know what you guys are talking about. The only episodes that I can see that you don't like is the ones where, what's the purple guy's name again?
Oh, Zed? Like the big guy?
Zeb?
It's Zeb, yeah. Zeb. You're talking about the Zeb episodes, aren't you? Where he's looking for his home.
Yeah, the Lasat episode where there's like a prophecy. I think I've talked about this on the show. If not, I've already talked about this with HouseDog. Essentially, this is the reason I stopped watching Rebels initially. I watched about 5 minutes of the episode, said this is really boring, and stopped watching for months. Then I jumped back in, watched another 5 minutes, stopped watching for a couple months. I repeated this for a while, and then I was like, I can't, and I just skipped the episode. So I have no idea how it ends. But I got through it, and I was able to finish the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just been hard for me to watch, man. It's just not my favorite. But
it does get really good later.
Yeah, but also, too, I think part of it, like, the other reason I haven't is, like, I've already seen most of the big parts. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know.
So to get us back on the Bad Batch train, I wrote down a quote here in my notes that I don't know who said it or why I wrote it down, but someone says in this episode, it's right before they're infiltrating the city, and Rampart is making his speech out there. Somebody says, "Isn't that what soldiers do?" Does anybody have any idea what I'm talking about? Or what that's in reference to?
No, I don't think so.
Isn't there a crosshair scene
right
before
Omega. That? Omega says it to Hunter on the Marauder.
Oh, yes.
I just now remembered.
He doesn't want to go help.
Yeah, and he says something along the lines of, like, when to follow orders, and when to stand by, and something. It was really meaningful, but now I've completely forgotten the conversation.
Oh,
and Omega says to Hunter, "Isn't that what soldiers do?"
It's when Omega gets in trouble for having given Hera their comm signal.
Yeah.
And Hunter's like, "What are you doing? That was so stupid, blah, blah, blah." Yeah.
Yeah. And then something else, she has another line here where, like, they're arguing about it, and she says either, "Wouldn't you come save me?" or
she said, "I would do the same for you." Yeah.
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 Which is some nice foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It's great seeing Hera. I was really hoping we would find out what happened to her mom in this episode. Because I don't think we ever get an explanation on... I'm guessing why she dies. Or how she died. As far as I know.
Maybe it's in Rebels.
Maybe, I don't remember. But like I said, I did skip a couple episodes, so...
Because Hera goes back to Ryloth.
Right, and she's trying to get that family heirloom.
Yeah.
Because it was really important to her, and it's really important to her mother. Which makes me think her mom died. But I don't remember her ever saying how it happened.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's all I really have for this episode. Did you guys have anything else?
I got some more notes if you guys want to hear them and then bounce off of me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Seeing probe droids again. I always like seeing probe droids, whether they're animated or live action.
Of course.
I just like them. And Hunter just goes Rambo on it and stabs it in the eye socket.
Mm-hmm. Is this our first canonical, like timeline-wise, seeing probe droids?
I think they've been in Bad Batch for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because whenever they're on Onderon,
oh yeah,
the Empire's using a probe, like a scout droid to watch them. Yeah.
But yeah, I just like seeing them. And then also, while Rampart is addressing the people of Ryloth, while the Bad Batch first makes their arrival there, he's still selling the lie that Taw is alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was interesting. He tells the people that, like, an assassination attempt was made on Senator Taw's life, but, like, he's recovering and he's not dead.
Oof.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like,
which I thought was interesting.
And you would think that he'd be doing that to, like, try to keep order, but also, like, the people don't like Taw, you know? So, like, what's the point of that?
Right, but Cham stood behind Taw and supported him the last time they addressed the people.
Okay, and so also they're using it to also be like, we don't know where Cham is. Cham's fine. You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are just saying it to just keep order. Like, that's their plan there.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And then, you know, we talked about it a second ago, but we're seeing this progression with the Empire just occupying the planets as they go through them, through these different systems.
Yep.
And then another great thing, you know, we haven't talked about technical stuff in a while, not really. And whenever the probe droid, you know, spots the Bad Batch, it obviously transmits that data or whatever. And one of Crosshair's new squad members comes up to him with a data pad and he's like, hey, a probe droid just got this and sent it to command and they bounced it back to us. And he shows Crosshair the data pad and it's the Bad Batch, of course, on that hill. And you can, like, Crosshair's wearing his helmet, but, like, you can see his expression through the helmet. Yep. And Crosshair realizing that the Bad Batch is there on planet and that, like, he can wipe them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm just, you know, Dave Filoni's the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can see Crosshair's face without ever seeing his face.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Mando, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that's something I know we've talked about it in the past at one point, but, like, I think it needs to be brought up every time. Like, it's,
yeah.
That's honestly just, like, really, I mean, like, Dave Filoni's great in so many ways, but I think that really is, like, one thing that just makes him elite is being able to do that. There's really not that many directors, producers, or writers who can do that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
And then, you know, a little bit more forward in the episode, Hauser now trying to set things right and helping the Syndulas break free from the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hunter giving Omega, like, her first actual mission that's, like, separate from the group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of infiltrating the refinery and, you know.
Yep. They steal a shuttle.
Yeah.
They do.
You want to be a pilot, right? Come on.
Something I pointed out while my girlfriend and I were watching this episode, I was like, I really like seeing Hera here because clearly she's inexperienced with flying, and that's a really nice contrast to what we see her as later, because I mean, she does become one of the best pilots in the galaxy. So it's really nice getting to see her in these early stages. Like, this just didn't happen. She had to practice. She had to get good.
Yeah.
Next thing I wrote down, Crosshair is too good. And for a second there, I didn't understand what that meant. But now I do. And it's the moment where they've started the attack on the refinery. And everybody's hustling to the shuttles to go support the refinery. And Crosshair's like, everyone stop. And they're like, what? Like, there's an attack on the refinery. We need to go help. And he's like, no, this is exactly what they want us to do. Everybody turn around and see where the prisoners are. And I'm just like, man, Crosshair is just... Yeah. He's the best.
And also you can see too in that scene, like literally every single shuttle
leaves.
is leaving. Yeah. Crazy.
And then honestly, it'd been a while since I had watched season 1. I couldn't remember if Hauser was about to get gunned down or not. So the entire time I was watching this, I was like, please don't die. Please don't die.
Yeah.
And he just gets arrested. Hauser probably wound up dying, but
yeah,
we didn't see it.
Yeah, so. Which actually, not going to the new episode yet, but actually, like, the next episode, whenever we see that clone running, like it's the beginning scene, I thought that was Hauser. I thought they were just continuing with it.
That is episode 14.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I must have some switched around. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I thought that they were going to have Hauser escape, but that's the last time we see him. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Which I really like this scene because, I mean, he steps up for himself, but I found it really interesting in contrast to the, like, human trooper that stood up to Crosshair, I think in episode maybe 10 or 9, maybe. Or no, it had to be earlier than that.
Yeah, it was earlier. It was in y'all's first couple episodes without me.
The one Crosshair just kills immediately?
Right.
Yeah.
But he didn't kill the clone when he stood up to him, which I thought was an interesting contrast.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I know all the clones see each other's brothers, but I do think it's interesting that Crosshair still feels this connection to the regs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we end this episode with Crosshair asking for permission to officially hunt down the Bad Batch.
Yep.
Which I was like, man, this guy is just cold.
He's relentless.
So with that, I'm ready for episode 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
And you want to jump in? Tell us about...
Honestly, I think, in my opinion, this was the filler episode.
Is this Infested?
Yes, this is episode 13, Infested.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like, the notes I have are, like, as far as, like, the plot, like, it's basically the Bad Batch comes back. There's some foreshadowing, because Tech is like, you know, Sid consistently doesn't tell us all the details of a mission. And, like, they had just gotten back from a mission where, like, they were surprised by a bunch of Gundarks, and Sid apparently had known that that was what was going to happen and didn't tell him. But anyway, so they go and do their normal thing, like they're about to go talk to Sid, and there's a guy sitting in Sid's chair. His name's Roland. He's the son of a crime boss. He's working for the Pikes, trying to sell them spice. They walk out. Sid's there and asks for their help stealing the spice. And that's, you know, pretty much about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I have never sat and watched this episode. Like, the first time I watched it, I was really bored, started playing video games, and just listened to it in the background. Last night when I was watching it, I started working on Magic the Gathering. Like, I just pulled out a deck, was, you know, put out my mana curve and was switching some cards in or out, and was just listening to it. I hate this episode with a passion.
Yeah, not a big fan of this one either. I mean, we get a guy with a normal name for once, like Roland. Mm-hmm. It's such a normal name.
Yeah. Yep.
I always enjoy whenever things are pretty consistent in Star Wars. Like, we get our usual barflies that are always in Sid's place. We see them again. Mm-hmm. You know, the Weequay and the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're sitting on Sid's ship, which is kind of crazy. Like, whenever Sid gives them their new mission and, like, is talking to them, those two guys are in the background. So I guess they follow Sid everywhere. It's kind of funny.
But I like them.
Yeah, I do too.
And, yeah, so they go to steal the spice from Roland to, you know, disrupt the supply chain so he can't give it to the Pikes, so the Pikes will get rid of him and Sid can get a bar back. And so they're traveling through this mine. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Sid operates the cart by herself, and Wrecker operates the one behind it. And they get to the point to get to this access tunnel to get to the secret entrance into the parlor. And Wrecker is, like, winded. And Sid's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so tired? And I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, how strong is Sid?
So she must just have that Trandoshan super strength.
She got that Trandoshan dog in her.
I guess so, dude. What an absolute unit.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Another thing I noticed, the bartender at Sid's parlor is a Pantoran.
Oh, yeah, he is.
I also love Ruby, Roland's little alien pet that the Bad Batch stole for him earlier in the season.
Yep.
I like Ruby.
Yeah, I do too. She's really cute.
And then also, we've seen Spice before many times in Star Wars, and even in live action Star Wars now with Obi-Wan. But I think this is the first time we've seen, like, bricks of Spice, like actual bricks.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at it and I was like, man, Star Wars gets pretty realistic sometimes. Like, even for a cartoon, I'm like, those are bricks of Spice.
Yeah, even the fictional drugs look like drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my next thing that I noticed is, so whenever they're stealing the spice crates, Echo locks the door to the office. And one thing I noticed was Roland's like trying to get in because he knows that something's going on. And he just blasts the door panel, which in Star Wars, you know, if you want to keep someone out, you blast the door panel. But I guess to get in, you also blast the door panel.
Yeah. Well, and also too, like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Would a door just keep opening and shutting? Goodness sakes! If like two guys were sitting on the opposite sides of the door, and they just both kept shooting the panel.
They're just blasting. Yep. I think if I were to get rid of anything in Star Wars, it would be this episode. I would use that vote to get rid of just this episode.
Yeah, not much to say about this one. I mean, we get to see Pikes again.
Yeah, that is true. And as we always say, like, your Star Wars is your Star Wars. If you really enjoyed this episode, we're really happy for you, because Star Wars is for everyone. But it just wasn't necessarily our cup of tea.
Yeah, but also I do stinking love the Pikes, so I am glad that I got to see them again. That was the highlight of that episode for me.
Yeah. It's always good to see the Pikes. You know, if Spice is involved, the Pikes are going to be involved.
Aw, yeah, baby.
Of course.
They got to be making that money.
Well, then we get another new creature called the Earlings. The
little hive guys?
Yeah, that don't like light.
Mm-hmm.
Those were cool, I guess. The bug things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were just Geonosian light. Kinda.
Yeah.
But
this episode was weird. I didn't really get what they were trying to do with it. And then at the end, whenever the Pikes, like, they make it seem like they're going to cut the head off of Roland. And then they just cut his horn off.
Yeah.
For kids. It's too gory if you cut the head off. Because that's never happened in Star Wars before. That's never happened in Star Wars.
What I think it is maybe is like it's kind of like how in like ancient times, like if you stole, they would cut your hands off. Like I think like what they were doing is like marking him as a thief and like someone not to work with.
But also, isn't like his father? His mother. Also, isn't his mother?
His mom's like a crime boss.
Mm-hmm. Right. So they may not have wanted to kill him and started, some sort of like crime war.
Yeah, but they did want to send a message, which is what I think they were doing.
Yeah, that's all it was. I mean, it's all based off like cartels and mobs in the real world. So they just sent a message. I guess their horns don't grow back, so he'll always be marked. Mm-hmm. And, it was like if you take the finger off of somebody or, scar their face up real bad, like you're going to know. Or like how they used to mark pirates with a P, a brand or, anything like that. But yeah, episode 13 kind of sucked in a nutshell.
Yeah, shall we move on to episode 14?
Yeah, yes. Episode 14 did not suck.
Episode 14 did not suck. This is War-Mantle.
Yep, and this is the one where it starts off with that clone running, and I thought it was Hauser. And so I got really happy whenever I first watched it. I was like, yes, he lived. But
yeah. I'm sure he's alive somewhere. Unless the Empire publicly executed them to make an example, which I also feel like is something that might have happened.
I think that's the likelier option, but
yeah.
But
But in Tuck's world, Hauser's living on the same planet as Plo Koon and all the other Plo Koon.
Yeah. And they're just all frolicking in a flower field together.
Straight chilling, eating ice cream, and having therapy sessions.
And also that one Tiny Tim song is playing. It's like, living in the sunlight, laughing in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. And they're like running through the... Yep. That's what happened to him.
I love the way your brain works, Tucker. I really do. Mac, you want to tell us, give us a little summary of what happened?
Yeah, so the Bad Batch gets a distress call. A distress signal is sent by this clone running through the forest. Rex receives it. Rex calls our friends, the Bad Batch, and says, "Hey, I am tied down, and I need you guys to go get my friend. He's a really good guy, and you need to save him from this planet." And they get there, and they start discovering that this planet isn't just a normal planet. There's a lot more to it.
Mm-hmm. And also, the clones have changed their armor.
Yeah, we'll get into that as well. But, just to open up the episode, I was happy to see the dogs that we've seen more in Star Wars lately. That we usually see just with the Tuskens, but now we see that they're used everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then this is the first time in Star Wars, I think, that we've ever seen someone use their blasters on stun and just target a specific part of the body.
Yeah.
Because first they stun him in the legs.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen that before in Star Wars.
Well, and almost always in Star Wars, like they shoot, like whenever people get stunned, they just get hit in the chest, like 9 times.
Right, yeah.
Except for this time, that's always what happens.
Yeah, so. Maybe they're feeling extra. Yeah, because they don't at. Because in the beginning they still think they're clones, and they don't find out till later that they're not.
Yeah, actually, I do have a quick theory that I just thought of. So we actually do find out later in the episode that clone commandos are resistant to stun. Because like that one at the end is really hard to stun. Like they have to shoot him like 5 times to get him to fall down. And so I wonder
that could also be armor resistance too.
Maybe, but also like clone commandos. I mean, I'm sure that'd be something that they'd be trained for. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that'd be advantageous to train them like that.
Yeah, but I think their armor is like way better too.
Yeah,
their armor is pretty heavy duty.
You're right. But what I think is that they were counting on that. That, like, you know, that Gregor, if anyone would be able to resist it, it would be someone who was trained as a commando. And so maybe they're, like, taking out his legs first so that he can't keep running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, Omega is still trying to fix Gonki in this episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
We rocking with Gonki.
And then after the Rex transmission, you know, he's like wearing his cloak and whatnot, and he's like, I gotta go, I'm in a situation. It was at this moment that I was like, I still really need a Rex show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd like one too. I'd really like one.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and then we flash back to Kamino as well this time.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Lama Su and Nala Se. And, you know, I've never realized it before, and it sounds really dumb. But all the Kaminoans have a double name.
Yeah.
That
you point that out.
They all have a first name and then a 2-letter second name. You got Lama Su, Nala Se, Tonui.
Yep. Yeah, it is kind of.
R.I.P.
Yep. And then also, all the males have the big fin on their head. I didn't realize that either. I thought it was just Lama Su, but we actually see another male in the background with a fin on his head.
Yeah. And Lama Su has some plans as well in the works.
Right.
The Kaminoans are realizing that they are being boxed out by the Empire. At least that's what it seems like.
Mm-hmm. And I really like that line. It might be later, but the guy, he specifically says, a scientist I have use for, a politician I do not.
Oh, that's at the end.
Yeah.
And I think Rampart says that.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I thought there was only one flashback to Kamino, but I guess there was multiple, weren't there?
This is at the very end of the episode, and I mean, since we're already talking about it, I'll just say it. Like, it's where they kill Lama Su, or get rid of him. We don't actually know if they kill him or not, but the door closes, and it's inferred. But
he's probably dead.
Yeah. But and then they take Nala Se.
He's not. Yeah, totally. Mac's right.
No, he's really not.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, you're being serious?
Yes, Lama Su isn't dead.
How's he not? Like,
They didn't kill him.
When else does he come out?
Well,
like, how do
you
we know
guys
that
haven't
he's not
watched
dead?
season 2, so...
All right, he's still alive in season 2.
All right. Well, in that
talk
case,
about it
not dead.
But until I see him alive, he's dead in my heart.
Yeah, so
He's
the Bad
dead to
Batch
me.
lands on the planet, and I don't know what made me think of this, but, you know, Hunter does his usual, like, tracking abilities thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he picks up this stick, and he smells it. And I immediately thought of that scene in the first Ice Age, where they're in the human camp, and they're trying to figure out where the humans went, and Diego, like, sniffs the ground or whatever, and he goes, leaf's still green. They went north 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And that's immediately what I thought of whenever Hunter picks up a stick and smells it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. The Bad Batch is just the Ice Age group.
Or it's also
in a different font.
They came through here, but the trail was cold hours ago.
It's just your classic, Native American scout in an old Western movie. I mean, it's just that trope over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then,
what did you guys think of the new armor? Because it's not quite Stormtrooper armor, but it's not Clone Trooper armor either.
Yeah, I was going to get... Because we do get that stuff in this episode. One, they climb up the mountain to see what's going on, because they know something's got to be going on.
Right.
And this place is crawling with clone commandos, which I was so happy about, because I love clone commandos.
Right?
Yep.
And this place is just chock full of them, which also tells you that something pretty serious is going on here, because you don't really see commandos like that in great numbers.
Right.
They're
usually
solos.
A squad.
Yeah,
maybe
or a small squad.
Yeah.
And, Tech makes the comment, or maybe Hunter does, or maybe Echo does. I don't remember which one of the three. But like Elijah said, that they've changed their armor. And I'm willing to say this is first phase Stormtrooper armor.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yep. Which is interesting because we've never really gotten to see that. Like, we've always, known clones and then stormtroopers, and then with Bad Batch, you kind of slowly see how
the in between
things are phasing.
Yeah,
and that it didn't just go clone to stormtrooper.
Yeah, well, it is revealed in this episode that those guys, or no, I'm sorry, it's next episode. But that they are actively shipping off all the clones and phasing in stormtroopers very quickly.
Right.
And
which, in this episode, they refer to them as TK troopers.
Is it?
Yeah.
They're TK troopers. Yeah.
Well, gotcha. So I couldn't remember what TK stood for because CT, clone trooper, ST, stormtrooper, whatever. So TKs are the trooper corps, which is, with the new call sign, obviously this is the beginning of getting rid of the clones. And whenever they're busting Gregor out of the base, he tells them, because they beat a couple of guys up and they're like, man, these clones kind of suck. Like, I thought you were training these guys. And he's like, these aren't clones. These are people from all over the galaxy that are enlisting. Like, they've started phasing all of us out.
Yeah, he specifically says they're not as good, but they're people who willingly joined, and there's an endless number of them.
Yeah, they're showing up in the masses.
Yeah, and then later, too, they're like, I thought you trained these guys. And he's like, well, I didn't teach them everything.
Yep.
I like that.
And it's not until, almost the end of halfway through the episode that Gregor reveals who he is. Which was a super big deal because, we know Gregor lives because Rebels came out before Bad Batch. So we know Gregor lived. But before Rebels, the last time we see Gregor, he blows up.
Yeah.
And, you think Gregor's just gone, which is sad because Gregor was a really cool clone commando in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And so I was really sad to see him go. And then, you get the return of him here, and I'm like, this is great. I love Gregor.
Yeah. Rocking with Gregor.
Yep.
Yeah, so they save Gregor, but Hunter falls. And is captured, and now we have prisoner Hunter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which actually, before that, one thing I found interesting, we always talk about, stunning and not stunning, and how the Bad Batch seems to have different beliefs on that. Wrecker, whenever he's saving them, he's using his blaster on kill.
Oh, yeah.
It's not on stun.
I think it... at the end of the day, it's I'd prefer to leave them alive, but if you're going to hurt my family, I want to hurt you.
Yeah, and then also, too, I think it's interesting that we see him put it on kill, and it's against not human, but, stormtroopers.
Right, because I can't remember. Did they tell Wrecker that it wasn't clone troopers?
Oh, he didn't. Yeah, he doesn't know that
because he wasn't there at the time.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Yeah, the group split.
They might have he might have heard them over comms or something.
Yeah,
but I just can't remember in the episode them specifically telling him.
Yeah.
A scene I really, really, I thought was hilarious is when they're fighting the clone commando, and I think it's Tech maybe grabs him and he's holding one as they're getting shot out, and then he kind of just pushes him in front of the bullets, and the TK troopers shoot him 5 or 6 times, and he kind of just falls to his death.
Yeah. And then also it's almost like a hit marker noise, as he's getting hit, from a video game. Yeah.
And they just kept shooting. He very clearly wasn't part of Clone Force 99, and they just kind of kept blasting.
They must not have liked him very much.
Probably not. Oh no, our boss, he fell to his death. Oopsie.
Accuracy through volume.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something they talked about in this episode was the difference between highly trained troopers versus just numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a big plot point covered.
I think we've talked about it. Like, the stormtroopers aren't bad soldiers. They're nowhere near as good as clone troopers, but they're not like actively fighting a massive war. You need the numbers to just have troopers on every planet.
Yeah. And also, I mean, like, you don't really have to be that good to oppress like unarmed, unarmored citizens of a planet, you know? Like they're just an occupation force. Yeah. So why even waste the money to train them?
I think this is my favorite episode, if I'm being honest, of this season. I really like this episode.
I don't know if it's my favorite.
Well, to be fair, I didn't watch the episodes that you guys reviewed without me, so I mean, it's definitely possible that I missed some, you know, but at least out of the 11 I watched, this was my favorite.
Yeah, I actually like the finale more, but
the finale is really good.
This one is pretty sweet. I do like it.
Well, do we want to, as we move on to the finale, do we want to talk about Return to Kamino and Kamino Lost separately, or should we just talk about it as one kind of long narrative story? Because they are connected.
Yeah, it's a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say we'll just kind of go for it.
Yes. And a lot of good stuff happens.
Yeah, so part 1, right at the beginning here, I love it because we do return to Kamino again. And while we're coming into Kamino, they play the Kamino music from episode 2.
Yep.
And by episode 2, I mean Attack of the Clones.
Right, yes.
Which I love that. It was perfect. Without even knowing, like, it's obvious it's Kamino. You know you're going to Kamino. They say that you're going to Kamino. But if they didn't say any of that and you just heard the music, you'd know that you were on Kamino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it really ties it all in.
Yes.
Yay.
And then we find out that Kamino has a secret subway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And secret landing platforms, which is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super cool, though.
Yeah, I thought it was dope.
We also see something interesting about these is that a lot of the clone troopers have been moved off. Most of the scientists and stuff are gone. It's a very like bare bones number of people on Kamino.
Yeah. In fact, Crosshair is the only clone on there.
Yeah.
They mentioned that.
Which we saw in an earlier episode. I think maybe War-Mantle, that they were moving like the children clones that were in training somewhere
cadets,
else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and doesn't one of them ask Nala say, he's like, "Oh, we're still going to be troopers though, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure, little buddy.
Yeah, totally.
That's what you were made for.
We're not bringing you to your death. No.
The Empire's not going to just jettison a spaceship full of cadets into the sun somewhere.
They never.
Yeah. They're not going to just abandon you on a planet without food or water.
Yeah. So they take the secret subway to Nala Se's lab, and this is where we first find out that Omega is actually the Bad Batch's big sister.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that's covered beforehand, isn't it?
I thought so too, but I could be wrong.
No, because it's like a big plot point in the next episode as well. That Omega's actually older than all, because one of the talks they have with Crosshair in the next episode, they're like, Omega's super important because she's the only genetic material that's pure that's left, and somehow it gets brought up that she was around during their creation, and like,
oh yeah, which that's whenever they get off the subway and they land in
in the lab.
Yeah, in the lab.
And they're all like, man, this place is kind of familiar, but I don't know why. And Omega's like, this is where you were all modified. Like, I was here whenever you were created.
Yeah.
I had no one, and then they made you guys, and I had a family.
But they did. I thought they covered earlier in the season though that she's Gen 1, whereas they're not.
No, they covered that she's a Generation 1.
Mm-hmm. I think where you might be getting confused, Tuck, because we've talked about it a couple times while reviewing that she's older, but I think that's because we had the prior knowledge because we'd watched the finale before. Yeah,
but also, I mean, wouldn't you think though? I mean, because they know that they're not Gen 1, and they know that she is. I mean, wouldn't that be obvious that she's older than them?
Yeah, maybe they didn't really put it together.
Yeah, but I don't think it's ever covered until this point when Clone Force 99 was created.
Oh, so they don't know, for instance, that they're not Gen 1.
Yeah.
They have no idea. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I got you. That makes
They just
a lot
know
more
that
sense,
they're not... They were always just told, they're not normal clones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then also, I'm sure, too, they're so modified that even if they tried testing their DNA, they wouldn't be able to tell.
That, if you think about it, obviously Omega's not... she was never modified or anything like that, so she didn't have any growth hormones or aging hormones.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, I mean, what I was saying, though, is in a previous episode, they do mention that she was created at the same time that Boba was, and that she's Generation 1. They do talk about that earlier.
But was that the cloners that talked about it?
No, because that's how Omega finds out that she's why she's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's how she finds out.
I think that's in the aftermath, right?
Yeah, but they never mention when. All Tech says is that she's a direct creation of Jango Fett, and that there was another project named Alpha who was later Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Alpha and Omega.
But they never mention time or when Omega came into being, or even when Boba came into being. It's just the importance of her DNA.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, moving on. I feel like we're getting really far off. Go ahead.
Sorry. We have that knowledge because we've seen episode 2. But the Bad Batch hasn't.
They lived episode 2 though.
Yeah.
We don't know if they were on Geonosis or not. Actually, they may not have been alive yet. We don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I think so, because, I mean, they double in age, so they were probably still, they had to either be teenagers or cadets during the time of episode 2, maybe, but I think if they hadn't been born yet, they wouldn't have been old enough, unless they increase the aging again.
Yeah, because I thought it was 3 times as fast, as far as clones go.
I'm pretty sure, at least Generation 1, it was double, but yeah, the cloners might have sped it up later so they could get troops out quicker.
Yeah.
Anyway, episode 15. Return to Kamino.
We've gone so far down the rabbit hole.
Crosshair is Crosshair.
AZ3 is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
I love AZ.
I knew you would.
What a man. I love him. Yeah, one of my favorite lines in all of Star Wars is his line in Clone Wars. And he's like, Sometimes I wish I had human feelings, but I don't. Goodbye. That's one of my favorite things that anyone ever says. I love that so much.
Is that during the the Kamino chip episodes with Fives?
Yeah, he says that to Fives. Yeah, while they're running through, and Fives says something as far as why he came back for Tup. He's talking about how how it's his brother and he'd come back for him and all that stuff, and that's when AZ's sometimes I wish I had human feelings, but I don't. Goodbye. And then he just floats away. It's really funny.
Which, is a really good argument against droids having sentience. I'll take the L on that one. I'll take the L on that one.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
No, I really like how this episode played out. I love that Crosshair betrayed his team to, save Clone Force 99. I love that AC took down one of Crosshair's team. He just uses a shelf, just, here you go, knocks her over.
We also get the, whenever they're running through to go somewhere on Kamino, we get the default Star Wars alarm sound going throughout the base.
Yep.
I just like hearing the sounds of Star Wars that we've always heard.
Me too. It makes it feel connected.
Yeah, it's like the Kamino music right at the beginning of the episode. Then hearing the, default alarm bass sound, like you hear it on the Death Star during the prequel or the original trilogy, and you get it a lot in Star Wars, and it's nice to hear it. So another thing, is it just me, or did those training droids that Omega activates look a lot like Dark Troopers that we see later in Mandalorian?
We talked about this, and actually Elijah looked it up. They are.
They are. They're like
they are Dark Troopers. Yeah.
They are a version of Dark Troopers. I'm not sure if they're the exact ones that we see in like Rebels or Mandalorian, but they are a version of it.
Yeah.
And we know they're set to kill because it's the ones that they that the Empire was testing in the aftermath. And I love that Omega just like summoned all of them, just, and she didn't even mean to. She was just trying to bring a couple out, and it accidentally brought them all.
And then also classic AZ again. He's like, while they're marching by the dozens, he's like, Omega, I think you may have created too many of them. Like just, AZ, you beautiful droid.
So you get that hope. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, so the female trooper, I don't know her name, on Crosshair's team, is she important? Because she lives. Like, does she appear somewhere else?
Don't think so.
I don't know.
My first thought was, is she the girl from Battlefield? Or Battlefront?
I
the new one? Yeah.
Well,
I could be wrong, but I was like, that'd be a cool tie-in if it is.
I don't think so, because the girl from Battlefront... wait, you said Battlefront 1. I was thinking of Battlefront 2.
No, I did say 2.
Oh, okay.
The one that we follow her story through.
In that case, she'd be too old.
Gotcha.
Like, there'd be no way, because she's like, in Battlefront 2, like, that girl's like, probably 20-something.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Still a bit too early for her.
I feel like she's either going to be important later, or she's someone we know that we don't quite realize yet. I don't know.
Well, and actually on that note though, like actually in Battlefront 2 though, her mom was an Imperial commander. And then joins the Rebel Alliance later.
It could be her mother, like hypothetically, if her kid had already been born.
Wait.
This episode.
Actually, hold up. No, I'm thinking of the wrong game. That's Squadrons. That's not Battlefront 2. My bad.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just something really stuck out to me this time about the fact that she survived. And the fact that she was like one of the original stormtroopers. She's got to be important somewhere else. Or she will be. I don't know. But it just really stuck out to me.
Yeah, I have a feeling that in typical Dave Filoni fashion, we are going to see her again.
Yeah.
Somehow. We'll see her again.
Maybe just as another showdown. Also, this probably isn't going to happen, but I was thinking about the Bad Batch, and I was like, because we talked about how they're probably going to have a Rogue One moment because we never see them again after this. Mm-hmm. Vader versus Bad Batch throwdown. That's how I want to see them go.
But see, I think Vader he'd kill him so fast it wouldn't even be that fun to watch, I don't feel like.
We haven't gotten Vader in Bad Batch yet, though.
Yeah. And again, this is just my own personal headcanon. I was just like, they're going to have to go somehow. And I think that would be really cool. Yes, Vader's going to win. But like this, we were talking in, I think, the Aftermath about, or maybe the part 2 when Mac first came in, that we never really get to see a moment where they're just like really working as a team. Like we never get to see that like super cool squadron moment. And I was like, this could be it. Like, yes, they're going to lose, but maybe like they really work together to like fight Vader, even temporarily.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I will say they'd have a much better chance if they get Crosshair to stay on their team.
Yeah.
I think that'd be like one of their only ways that they would have a somewhat decent chance against Vader.
And they're still going to lose, but I think it could be a cool fight. And again, that's just my own headcanon, but I was thinking about it a couple days ago, and I was like, yes. Clone Force 99 versus Vader. I need this in my life, even if it's just a fan animation.
Yeah.
I could see it happening, though.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to get us derailed. Do you guys have anything left on Return to Kamino?
I've got a couple things.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is where Crosshair betrays his team and offers the Bad Batch the chance to join him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that seems like so depressing because like you see him take out the whole team and then they have to fight all the training droids, and like for a moment there you're like, oh, the team is back together.
Mm-hmm. Like, yes,
they're gonna do it.
That moment on like Hunter's face where like they're fighting, and then Crosshair pulls out his rifle and starts fighting with them. Like, there's this moment of like, okay, yeah, they're stressed because they're getting shot at, but it's like this moment of relief of like, okay, the family's back together now.
Yeah.
And I think this is also the episode where Crosshair gives Hunter, quote unquote, a chance. He says, I'm going to give you something you didn't give me, a chance. Yeah. That line makes me so mad. Because they did give him a chance. They gave him multiple chances.
But it's clear that like Crosshair's so far gone that he thinks that the batch left him, not the other way around.
Right.
Like he's that far in his.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
journey.
and I think it's a very interesting story to tell. I think it's a good story to tell, but it still makes me mad.
Yeah. Oh, actually, at this part too, that's when it's revealed that Crosshair hasn't had a inhibitor chip in some time.
Oh yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
We finally get the reveal.
And also, we don't know when he took it out, but I mean, it could have been a long time ago. We have no idea.
Yeah.
We also see Tarkin via hologram, but we still see Tarkin.
Right.
Yep. Fire when ready.
Yes, I noticed that as well, and I loved it.
Yep.
And then they start the firing on Kamino. And they still choose to save Crosshair because he gets like knocked out.
Yeah,
and Hunter starts to starts to pick up his stuff, and I'm like, oh, they're just gonna like take his weapons and his pack, cool. And then they like grab him and start running him through the base, and then the episode ends with the destruction of Kamino beginning. And I'm not gonna lie, I saw this happen, and it immediately made me think of the original Battlefront 2 and the story mode on there, Rise of the Empire. Whenever like you're going through with the 501st and you have to go back to Kamino because the Kaminoans have like grown clones to fight the Empire, and you have to like go there and kill your brothers. And I'm not gonna lie, I played the entire campaign of Battlefront 2 just because of this episode last night.
So I've actually never played the campaign.
It's awesome.
Of Battlefront 2, and I think now I need to.
Yeah.
Dude, it takes like an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. I might beat it tonight.
honestly, you could probably get through it in an hour. It's super short, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's all told from the viewpoint of the 501st, as they, they're still the 501st, and then eventually they phase into, like, halfway through the story, they phase into Vader's fist.
Mm-hmm. When they invade the Jedi Temple and you're with them. And, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the ending of that episode right there made me think of that, and I was like, I have to go play this right now.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I really like this moment, but it's also really heartbreaking because, especially like episode 2, but more so like the Clone Wars, we get to see so much of Kamino, and like so many clones that we've grown to know and love came from Kamino, and it's really sad watching it be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I really love Kamino. I love the way it looks. I love the way, like, I like Kamino a lot. So it was just also personally sad to just watch it all wash away. Sad
yeah,
day.
I mean, episode 16 like opens with Kamino just like falling, or the Tipoca City just like burning and crashing into the water, and like the destruction is obviously terrible, but I was just watching it and I was just like, man, this show sometimes is just like incredibly beautiful. Like that shot of in the beginning, the first couple minutes is just breathtaking. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just great animation and cinematography, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Which,
One also.
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
No, just Dave Filoni and his team just crushing it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and like speaking of which, like at the end of part 1, like whenever the Star Destroyers, well, they aren't Star Destroyers yet, but like when the Jedi cruisers come out of the clouds, and like you just see like bits and pieces of them, but it's like the way that they do the lighting, like you can just only see parts. I love that shot. I think that is so cool. Yeah. But anyways, that was just my contribution. Yep.
Yeah, it's super good as always.
It is. There's a lot of good lines in this episode too. Half my notes are just things that characters said to each other.
Yeah. Well, take it away. What do you got?
I think Hunter said this, but he said if you want to stay here and die, that's your call. Because him and Crosshair are arguing. And Crosshair's like, oh, you're letting the kid call the shots now? Like, that's your plan? Like, this is what y'all do? And he's like, you know what, man? If you want to stay here and die, that's your call, but we're leaving. And she knows how to get us out of here, so...
Yeah. And she's technically the oldest.
Yeah. And then, they get back, like, they're with AZ, and the path that they take leads them back to their old room. And AZ is like, funnily enough, your old barracks is one of the only rooms that survived the pressure from the city falling into the water. And it's like so sad because they're all back in this room, and even though they're all together again, everything has changed, and they're nowhere near this team or the people that they used to be.
Right,
and
right.
Hunter and Crosshair really get into it in here, and he's like, if you guys would have just stayed, if you would have just, not had to do whatever you thought was right and just followed orders, like, we would have never have had to leave here, and we could still have this, but you gave it up. And it's very sad.
Yeah, it's sad because he doesn't realize that, like, regardless, the Empire was going to blow up Kamino. It was going to happen whether the Bad Batch betrayed them or not, but to Crosshair, this is all their fault.
Yeah, and then you get two really good lines while they're fighting. Crosshair said something along the lines of, like, soldiers follow orders. And Hunter retorts back with, blind allegiance makes you a pawn. Mm-hmm. And just, like...
so good.
Back to back, these lines are just incredible. And, like, the writing in this episode was so good. Like, those were two super good lines. Like, blind allegiance makes you a pawn is just like one of the best things in Star Wars that's ever been written.
goes pretty hard. Yeah. I don't know. I really like this episode. I really like the section where they're going like through the tubes, and I think it's AZ tells them that the power got knocked out, and so it's not protected, and we get to see the creature in the water.
Yeah, I just have another line before that where
go
they're
ahead.
arguing again with Crosshair, and Tech steps in. He's like, Crosshair's always been hard-headed and like etc. And Crosshair's like, we're not friends anymore. Why are you trying to stick up for me? And of course, like Tech being the critical, like logical thinking one, like just drops the hammer on him, and he's like, understanding you doesn't mean I agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, dang, like Tech dropping the bombs on this dude.
Yep. Oh yeah, and also like Tech's not one to really like let his emotions get out of control and like get into fights and stuff like that, because he is so logical. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really think he has that many feelings, but the fact that he does say that is just so I mean, he's got to be really upset.
Yeah, this is like the first time. Yeah, this is like the first time that we ever see Tech like say something that's not critical to the mission or like extremely logical. Like this is in his own way, like going out of his way to say "screw you, Crosshair." Like,
yeah, and he's clearly. I mean, like I think he's actually really hurt, but he just this is just how he expresses it.
Yes, which is really nice. It's something that we don't get to see from Tech very often, and I think that makes these moments more powerful.
Yeah, you get another layer to a character that doesn't always have a lot of layers.
Yeah.
And then, AZ has plotted another course for our heroes to escape the city. And he's like, yeah, the tube is usually protected by the field or whatever, but since the power's down, it's not. And he says a couple of other things, and he ends it with, just try to stay alive.
Yeah.
And then that big monster thing just starts attacking the tube.
Yep.
It almost reminds me of like the new Godzilla movies. And like there's that one scene where like they're under the water and you can just see like Godzilla's like fin just like bleeping off in the distance, and then like all of a sudden it just gets closer and closer and closer. Like it was kind of giving me the same vibe.
Yeah. We've seen these monsters before, right? Or no?
Or not Maybe. On Kamino anyway.
Let me look it up and keep talking about this monster attack.
Because I'm pretty sure like this was the first time that we actually got to see under the water of Kamino. Like I think. But yeah, super scary monster. Obviously he bites a hole in it and things start to go very wrong. But continue, Elijah.
In the words of Qui-Gon Jinn, there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah. Let's see. What happens next? I think that's when they get to the lab or something where they start planning to do the tubes, right?
Yeah, and another great before line. That they have another like little tiff in between. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Crosshair and Hunter get into it again, and Hunter drops the line to Crosshair's. Oh my gosh, he says, "All you'll ever be to them is a number."
Yes.
And dude, like I said, the writing in this. Oh my gosh, the writing in this episode is just great.
It really was. It really was. They went very, very hard.
Well, it's just so much emotion. It makes you so sad for Crosshair.
Mac, do you want to get some water, dude? You good?
You need a little breaky break?
And get some water real quick.
So I've heard that I've been seeing some memes that The Mandalorian dropped, and so the best episode of the Bad Batch also dropped the same day. Like, Dave Filoni had to go hard to keep it, so people don't lose interest in it.
Yeah, this last episode of season 2, we've been talking about the cloning stuff a lot, and I think we're going to get it in this last half of Bad Batch.
Nice. But on the current matter at hand, though, like where are we at on the episode 16?
I think they're making the plan to use the tubes.
Yes, we are at the tubes.
I don't really have much to say until they actually start, floating in the tubes.
Oh, you mean like the medical tubes?
Yeah, that they use to float to the surface.
Yeah.
Do you guys have really anything on the plan before we move on?
Nope.
I hate that it was Omegas that struggled. The first time I watched this, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, well, we never see Omega again. Maybe they will kill her off.
Yeah.
Because like certain characters, like in Kenobi, we know Obi-Wan's not going to die because we see him later on. So it takes some of that suspense away. But this moment, I was like, I was really on the fence because I was like, I don't want Omega to die, but I think this could be a really powerful moment.
I don't know, though. So you opened the Kenobi box, so...
Sorry.
Good job.
That's my bad.
Even with Kenobi, like, we know he lives, but, like, still, during the showdowns with Vader, like, I was like, I think Obi-Wan might die here.
Yeah. And also, like, in this scene, too, like, I mean, I was on the edge of my seat also. Like, truth be told, I at that point, because I don't think they had confirmed that they were doing more seasons. Whenever that episode came out. And so, like, I was almost sure that all of them were going to die somehow.
That would have been like, wild I was watching, if that's how they died.
Holy crap. Like, is this how they're all going to go out? And, but then, like, whenever I see AZ, like, swim behind Omega, I was like, man, I've watched Iron Giant too many times. Like, this is going to be sad, I can tell.
Mm-hmm. Yes, AZ's ultimate sacrifice.
Superman.
Yeah. Oh.
And then we get the surprising save from Crosshair.
Yes, I loved that.
And I honestly thought that was going to be like his the turning redemption. Point for Crosshair. Too.
Yeah,
but I'm glad it wasn't. I think that was very I think that was a brave choice, but I think it was a good choice. Ooh, also something I don't think we've talked about. Sorry, small tangent. I really appreciate that they didn't reveal that Crosshair was going to betray them in the trailers.
Yeah.
Like, I love that they edited the trailers to make it look like the whole team was still together. We don't have to dive in. It's just something I really liked about the Bad Batch.
Yep.
But yeah, and then, I mean, we get some more conversation with Crosshair here at the end. Do you have any lines here, Mac?
I don't have any lines, but just the fact that they're still trying to bring Crosshair back.
Yeah, and the fact that he still feels like they didn't give him a chance. Like, even after everything that happened, they're still trying.
Yeah, and it's very clear that they still care for him.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a really powerful moment here, and again, Dave Filoni and his team just absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this show, like, emotionally for me, like, what I love about it, like, I understand, like, the whole, like, father figure trope that Star Wars shows have been doing lately is cool, it's sweet, it's heartfelt. But this show, to me, is a lot more about brotherhood. And that's just always been something that I really, really care about. And I love this show for that. Like, I think it just is really, it's about brotherhood in a nutshell.
And the fact that, like, brotherhood isn't always easy. Like, there are times where you don't agree with one another.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I also love that, like, Star Wars has been a really big theme of Star Wars is found family. Like, finding people that love you and that you love. But it's also really nice just seeing, like, a biological family as well go through all of these things.
Yeah, well,
which
and actually,
I know they're clones, but they're brothers in my heart.
Yeah, and also they are genetically, you know, I mean, they're basically all like a big set of twins when you think about it. You know?
Yeah, a really, really big set of twins.
And but yeah, no, I like that you called them a biological family. I'd never thought about it like that before.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's not. Like I said, a lot of it's found family, which is still just as important, but it's really nice seeing an actual, like, family.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you guys have any other notes before we bring this to a close?
We watched a show from start to finish.
We did it. And there was no random episodes in between on other things. I'm proud of us.
I don't know. I think I need a random episode before season 2.
Maybe. Yeah.
We can do it. We'll see what's up.
Well, in that case, we don't have any listener questions this week, but if you guys want to be a part of the conversation, you can always email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that's animalsquadron@gmail.com. We would love for you guys to be a part of the conversation. For the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And the hiccuping house dog.
Lowtech Tuck.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Adios.